Okay, let's turn to Song of Songs. I told the first service, I wish that, I could sit down with each of you and just ask you how you're doing right now. How's this journey been for the first couple of weeks? As husbands are getting a little itchy in their seats right now. And yes, how are we doing? But I can't do that because that's not the forum. That's not the venue that we're doing now. But you know what? On Wednesday nights we can. And on Wednesday nights we're trying to do that. So from 6 to 7, you can grab pizza at 5:30, and then the adults are coming in here from 6 to 7. The kids got all kinds of stuff going on. The youth have all kinds of stuff going on. We're here having an unshockable conversation about real things, connecting to each other while we connect to real content. So if you're interested in connecting to people and connecting to content, particularly this content, because this is kind of a stirring content, come on Wednesday nights. We'd love to see you. And just know that I want it to be, that this is like, if you've been around us or been here for a while, you know that we will wade into anything. We'll talk about anything, and we hope to talk about anything in a way that has humility, in a way that is unshockable, and in a way that's intelligent. So if that's you, and if that's what you're looking for, come on Wednesday nights. Which leads me to this particular person. On August 26th, which is just a couple of weeks ago, there's a teenager named Catherine Forster. Now, I want you to know that she wrote an open letter to pastors and sent it to Crossway Books, and it was put on their website. This is not in our tradition. So some of you are going to think when you hear her, oh, she must have been catechized at a tradition like ours on midweek, their Kids Quest, right? No, she's in the broader church, all right? This is a teenager, and she writes this open letter to pastors about teens in your congregation. She's saying, pastors, here's what I would love to be able to tell you as a teenager. I would love for you to know these things. I would love for you to speak about these things. Here's some of the things she says. First one that struck me, there's tons of them on there. I think there's like 4 or 5 topics. You can go look it up. But the first thing she said is, we think about the hard stuff. The simple answers were enough when we were young, but they're not now. We need solid theology and sound doctrine, the kind of teaching that acknowledges real difficulties and gives biblical answers to them. This is a teenager, not in our tradition. Here's the second thing she said. She says we need a biblical vision of sexuality. In today's culture, one of those questions, maybe the biggest, is the question of sexuality. Too often the only answer is don't have sex before marriage. While it's true, she says, taken by itself, that exhortation is probably either twisted into legalism or it's just plain ignored. She goes, we need a positive exhortation. She goes, will you give us a vision of sexuality in marriage? The beauty and the wonder of it, something that's attractive, something that you want and wait for. This is a teenager. Did I say that already? She says, but acknowledge the brokenness too. Chances are many teens in your church struggle with same-sex attraction or gender dysphoria. If you're like me, I had no idea what that word meant. So I looked it up. Here's what it means. The condition of feeling one's emotional and psychological identity is different from your gender. Well, that's not a hot topic today, is it? Or we carry scars of past trauma. And she goes, please, with compassion and grace, would you share the hope that Christ gives for broken sexual people like us? This is a teenager. So why are we doing Song of Songs? Some of you think, is it to be edgy, Jeff? You trying to be edgy or cool or controversial or attention-seeking? And here's my response to that is if you know me, you know I can be intense. You know I can be passionate. You know I can be a whirlwind, right? And my wife just told me I guess I can be dramatic too. She told me that a couple of days ago. Thank you, honey, for that. conversation that I'm still trying to get over. But edgy, for edgy's sake, for attention getting sake, I will tell you this, I would rather crawl over 10 miles of broken glass backwards than do that. I would rather enroll in a discipleship training program that has 100 steps on how you can become a fully devoted follower of Jesus than do that. I don't know about that one, though. I don't think I could do that program, so I probably would do it. Let's say, listen to opera music. Okay, I would rather listen to opera music than do that. I'm sorry, you opera people. And then for the record, listen, I'm already cool. I don't need the Song of Songs to make that happen, so. Why are we doing the Song of Songs? Here's why we're doing the Song of Songs for teenagers like Catherine Forster. And for those of you that need to be spoken back to life again, personally, sexually, intimately, relationally, societally, culturally. Let's stand for the next round.
A reading from the Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 15 through chapter 2, verse 7. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves. Behold, you are beautiful, my beloved, truly delightful. Our couch is green. The beams of our house are cedar. Our rafters are pine. I am a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys. As a lily among brambles, so is my love among the young women. As an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. With great delight I sat in his shadow, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Sustain me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am sick with love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Please be seated. So, Lord, we are a valley of dry bones. We need you to speak us to life. Would you allow the bones to click? Would you allow the ligaments to come together? Would you allow the tendons to attach? Would you bring in the organs and the muscle tissue? May we stand alive again. We ask this in your name. Amen. Okay, so the Song of Songs is about romantic love, erotic love, sexual love. Look at 2:7, okay? I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. This verse is saying romantic love is overwhelmingly powerful. Overwhelmingly powerful. The text is saying that, but you know what? You already know that. All of us already know that. Every teenager in here already knows that. Everyone addicted to porn already knows that. Everyone who's hooking up already knows that. Everyone who visits Tinder already knows that. Everyone trapped in an unhealthy relationship already knows that. Everyone who is struggling sexually, intimately, relationally in their marriage already knows that. Romantic love is overwhelmingly powerful. I want you to look at 2:7 again. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem. You know what she's doing? She's preaching. She's charging seriously. She's taking an oath. She's saying, ladies, she's talking to the unmarried ladies of Jerusalem. She's saying, ladies, this is a big deal. Listen to me. I charge you. And you're like, on what authority? What's your source? Where do you get this power to speak to the unmarried ladies of Jerusalem? This is where it's weird. By the gazelles or the does of the field? Oh, my word. Isn't that weird? I mean, I was ready for because God says so, and I mean, off and running, right? But no, by the gazelles and does of the field, that's why I charge you. That's the basis of my charge. That's the source, the power of my charge. That's where all the gravitas of my charge comes from. Does and gazelles dancing through the field, that you not stir up love or awaken it until it pleases. Here's the deal. Gazelles and does represent romantic love in the Bible, in the Song of Songs, and in the ancient Near Eastern literature. They represent erotic, sexual, marital bliss. So here's what she's doing. She's basically saying, I charge you on the basis of love itself. Real love. By the power of real love, I charge you. Don't awaken it until it's proper time. Do you see what she's doing? She's appealing to love itself. It's so breathtakingly brilliant. Because here's what she's saying. I don't care what you think about love. I don't care what your understanding of love. I don't care what Netflix understanding of love is. I don't care what your parents' understanding of love is. I don't care what your fourth grade teacher's understanding of love is. I don't care what your religion professor's teaching understanding of love is. I don't care what all the philosophers say about this. I don't care what the Beatles say about this, which, by the way, they are still the top number one pop artist in the world now. I Googled it. I went, who's the top? Because I wanted to say, I thought it was going to be Katy Perry or that other girl. I couldn't remember her name in the first service. That's so frustrating. She's the one that sang, no, I love Lady Gaga. It's that other girl. Taylor Swift. Holland. Taylor Swift. I thought it was Taylor Swift, so I go, not of all time. Everyone knows that's the Beatles. I said, this year, Beatles. She doesn't care what Drake says. She doesn't care what The Bachelor says. She says, let's listen to love itself. What does it say? It's pretty powerful, isn't it? Why do we need to hear from love itself? Because it alone can tell you when it's the proper time to release this overwhelming power in your life and in your relationship. If you listen to anyone else, you'll get hurt. So what is real romantic love? That's what we're going to do. All right, so we're going to listen to love because it's going to tell us all about itself. So what is it? This is so awesome. All right, so you remember, they haven't seen each other. Everything that's happened so far is that we've been given an X-ray vision of their internal desires and their passions and their views and their thoughts and their feelings, and it's on the screen for everybody to see, but they haven't seen each other yet. Remember the last time we heard, she's like, where is he? Where are you? How do I find you? And he goes, hey, follow my sheep. Just follow the path they made. I made a path for you. I want you to find me. They find each other, finally. This is the first time. We just read it. They are now seeing each other for the first time. He speaks first, and he says, behold. Now, behold you can take two ways. You can take behold in the Hebrew as pay attention, or you can take behold in the Hebrew as wow. Which one do you think it is? Wow. You are beautiful. Wow. So beautiful, my love. Your eyes are like doves. And then watch all the commentaries try to figure that one out. No one can, so don't worry about it. I mean, it is. It's stupid. She had oval eyes. She had blue. I mean, please. Unless you can tell me the exact referent in that time, I'm not listening to you. I'm getting way off track. All right, so she finds her voice, though. She finds her voice. She sees him. He goes, wow. She goes, wow. You are beautiful, my beloved, truly delightful. So here it is. It's so simple. It's It's so easy. The cookies are put on a lower shelf. The first thing you need to know about real love, real romantic love is it's being in love with the other person. Real romantic love is adoring the other person. Real romantic love is in awe of the other person. Real romantic love is delighting in the other person. Real romantic love is crazy about the other person. Notice how everything in here smells and tastes and sounds and looks like worship. It's an awful lot like they're worshiping each other. Before I left for a year to help start the first campus ministries in the former Soviet Union at the time, there was about 55 of us that went. My brother and I had one of those awkward moments where dear, dear friends, we wouldn't see each other for a year. He's the only person other than my parents that I'd actually want to talk to, that I would want to talk to, right? And I couldn't for a whole year. And so we're having that awkward, no one wanted to get emotional, so we're having that awkward moment of just standing there, and we do what all guys do in those kind of awkward, like, emotional moments. We looked at our shoes, right? And finally, Pete breaks the silence, and he looks up and he goes, "Jeff, get a wife." And I said, "Pete, get a job." Well, I'm happy to report it was a good year for both of us, right? Well, 2 months later, we're finally able to talk to each other. 2 months, we haven't been able to talk to each other. So we finally are able to talk to each other. Now, you need to remember, this is not the era of cell phones. This is the era of where I would call someone in Russia, and they would say, America is not working. And I'd say, no, America works really fine. You're not working, right? And I think she put this little marker on my phone in that apartment from some power place in the Politburo. I guarantee it. I was marked. But anyhow, I finally am able to connect on a phone conversation with Pete. And the first thing he said, he gets on the phone, and not hello, how are you, how's it going? He goes, have you met anyone? Now, if you know my brother, that's like par for the course. Have you met anyone? Now, I'm going to do a little timeout. I got to give you a backstory. So 2 months have elapsed, right? 2 months have elapsed, and I've had four conversations with Nancy. I saw her in a span of maybe 3 or 4 days and had 4 conversations. We are now 5 hours by Aeroflot, which means probably 10 hours by a normal jetliner. Because all those pilots were ex-fighter pilots, and when you flew Aeroflot, it was unbelievable. So I'm 5 hours away. I've had 4 conversations, and the first conversation went like this. I said, do you need any help with your luggage? And she doesn't even remember that conversation. So we were off to a great start, right? I'm like, that was the best intro ever. I saw her from afar. I said, that lady needs help with her luggage. Do you need help with your luggage? She doesn't even remember it. Second conversation went something like this. Are you the guy who brought the weights? Now, here's the deal. You are allowed 70 pounds of baggage. That's it. Back in those days to fly. You get one suitcase, 70 pounds. All the Baylor girls brought 2 suitcases, 75 pounds and above, and they never figured out why the guys were mad when they had to carry them up 6 flights of stairs to their flats. I'm not bitter over that at all. So they had full of clothes. Here's what I had. All right, so they had 2, 70 pounds. They had these suitcases that were interesting. You could pull them up to about neck high. I had a duffel bag. I met my 70-pound limit. 20 pounds of food, dry food, like MRE thing. Add water, good to go. 5 pounds of clothes, 50 pounds of weights, because I didn't know if there were gyms over there. And I was going to work out. That was going to happen, right? So when I walked out of the country, I walked out with only the clothes on my back and 50 pounds of weights in my bag. I dumped everything else. Well, I didn't really have that much. Conversation number 3 happens on Red Square. So you meet In New York, I see her. I had that first conversation. In the training, I had the second conversation. And now we're all in Moscow, in country. And the next day, we leave to go to Almaty. And so I have this one opportunity to have another conversation with her. It was on Red Square at night. She's surrounded by two dudes who were going to be in Moscow with her the whole year because they were on the same team or in the same area. They had to go. So I just waited. I waited till they stopped talking, which was almost impossible. And when they looked to see St. Basil's or something, I busted a move, got in there because I'm an ex-wrestler fighter. It was easy for me to do. And we had our third conversation, and it was a long conversation. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. No phones, no cell phone. I can't text, say, hey, are you at your flat? I take a cab where we were staying. We're about ready to leave, to fly away forever. I take a cab. I get to their flat. They just got home from lunch from McDonald's, which was cuisine for us in those days. And here's the conversation. Can I write you? Yes, you may. So Pete says, have you met anyone? And I'm smiling but not saying a word, and he goes, hoo! I knew it! I knew it! You finally found someone. And for the next 10 minutes, I'm like, wow, she's beautiful, Pete. Wow, adoring her, celebrating her, delighting in her. It sounded an awful lot like worship. Sometimes being in love is like a thunderstorm, love at first sight. That's the way it was for us. Sometimes it's like a slow, steady spring shower where you're friends, and you awaken to be romantic. Here's the point. It doesn't matter which way. The point is that it happens. Because real love is being in love. So singles, here's what I want to say to you. Because I see it in college camp. When I was in campus ministry, I saw it all the time. It's almost like when I meet with, everybody wants to talk about relationships, and campus pastors know that. So you're always talking about relationships. But some of the times I started noticing these themes. Almost 80% of my conversations was one person and the other person trying to talk themselves into it. So here's my charge to you singles. Do not talk yourself into something that doesn't exist. Friendship is not enough. Loneliness is not enough. The fear of being single is not enough. A good provider is not enough. A nice guy is not enough. My mom will like her is not enough. No one else is out there is not enough. Wow, she's beautiful. That's enough. Wow, I really like him. That's enough. Being in love is enough. A quick word to marrieds. Being friends is not enough. Being roommates is not enough. When God designed marriage, He did not design it, oh, here's your roommate. Oh, here's your best friend. He actually did two things simultaneously at the same time. When He designed marriage, He says, here's your Sam and Frodo, and here's your lover. Here's your best friend, and here's your lover. So be in love with your spouse. Fight for it. Do not settle for less. Well, what if you've lost that loving feeling for your spouse? Jeff, I've lost that loving feeling. Many folks will come to me and say, I just don't love her anymore. I just don't love him anymore. And then what if you're not loved by that spouse? Your spouse doesn't love you like this. What are you supposed to do too? Here's the deal. We're going to answer that one, but I needed to put it out there now because we're talking about being in love. The next two are going to answer that. But here's what I do want to say for you now. Jesus does love you like that. Wow, he says. In fact, in Zechariah it says, he literally says, wow. And then he sings a love song over you. Jesus never loses that loving feeling for you and me. And if you ever doubt it, if you ever wonder about it, you can think this. I have this great scene in We Were Soldiers when the dude says, I'm going to be the first to put my foot on the ground of battle, and I'm going to be last to take my foot off. Here's the deal. The moment Jesus put his foot on this planet, that was enough to prove it. Because he came because he loves you. His arrival announced, I love you. When God becomes a man and sets foot on this planet, God is saying, wow, you're beautiful to me. What is real romantic love? It's being in love. Second, what she says next, let's just say, is weird. It's just, I don't know how else to say it. It's just weird. I mean, it's like verse 16, our couch is green, the beams of our house are cedar, our rafters are pine. She went to Magnolia. The trick is catching the pronoun our. Do you see the our? She's doing what real romantic love always does throughout all the ages. Real romantic love always looks to last. Real romantic love looks for long-haul love. Real romantic love looks for exclusivity. It looks for commitment. It looks for an old theological word we don't use today, covenant, where there is a binding relationship, a fidelity, a loyalty, an inseparability, a forever love. A legal reality and a romantic reality that's inseparable. In other words, do you see what she's doing? She's talking about their home together. She, real romantic love, longs for home. 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 Long haul love. Song of Songs scholar Ian Duguid says it this way. This is the classic language of love at all times and all places as the man and the woman fantasize about a lasting, committed, and intimate relationship together. He says, it's an oddity in our time. It's an oddity in our culture. It's an oddity in our place to have so disconnected sex from marriage, we don't understand that. In this world, long-haul love is romantic love. All right, so last week I played the loser, remember? As Ty will do to me all the time. Let's talk about recreational dating. Just what you want to talk about, right? Okay, here's the deal. There are two levels of recreational dating. Here's level number one. Two friends doing something fun together. This is a legit friendship. In other words, no one's emotionally involved, no one's romantically involved, no one's doing this subversive, I'm going to get them romantically to like me sometime. No, these are legit two friends just doing stuff together as friends for fun. Fantastic. So far, so good. Good stuff. Young people, preteens, teens, do that and do it all the time. Fantastic. Singles, do that. There's just a little bit of a warning about what I'm about to say, but I just want to say it because I think it's very, very wise. There's a campus minister when I was a student who was watching all this relational wreckage going on the college campus and in the campus ministry that I was a part of. And so she, this campus minister, pulls me aside and says, Jeff, here's what I want you to know about relationships. Time plus trust, T squared. Time plus trust always equals emotional involvement for someone. And I said, so you mean that you can be with someone as a friend, and if you spend a lot of time with them and you think they're friends, and then they tell you things and they start trusting you, that someone is probably going to get emotionally attached. Bingo, Jeff. So you be careful when you do recreational level 1 dating. Because someone, if you spend a lot of time together, you start singling them out and you start trusting things, one of you is going to get emotionally attached. And that's why people have scars from 3rd grade on. Level 2 recreational dating is on a different level. I wholly endorse level 1. In fact, I always say to all my kids, I said, so what? Go see that, you can go out with that person. You can go out with that person. You can be a polygamist dater. Do it. Level number 2, recreational dating is forming an exclusive attachment with someone. Forming an exclusive attachment with someone that there is no absolute intention of marrying them. You form an exclusive attachment with someone that you have absolutely no intention of marrying them. Preteens, teens, parents of preteens and teens and singles, we need to be incredibly careful, incredibly cautious about level 2 dating. Duguid again. He says the dizzying feelings of infatuation are intoxicating and confusing, like a drug. Indeed, in our culture, it is a legal high that we routinely pass upon teens and preteens. In other words, we're constantly giving this drug to our kids. Get exclusively attached when there's no intention, come on. 4th grade, 5th grade, are they getting married? 13-year-olds forming exclusive relationships with other people with no intention of getting married. You're attaching yourself to them. I know I'm the loser. I told you I am the loser today. What if you're in an exclusive relationship with the intention of marrying? What about that? 2 things. The text says, do not stir up or awaken love until love is ready, right? In other words, till love has its proper time. In the Bible, the proper time is always marriage. Always. But notice what else it's saying. In other words, notice what it's not saying. I want you to look at it again. It's not saying do not stir up or awaken love until you're ready. It's saying do not stir up or awaken love till love is ready. In other words, love sets the wedding date, not you, your spouse, your parents, your school, your financial situation. Love sets it. When love is ready, get married. Why? Because sexual love is so powerful. So some of us simply just need to get married. We need to not wait around waiting for emotional stability, waiting for financial stability, waiting for academic stability. Some of you just need to get married. Because it's not when you're ready. It's not when your parents are ready. It's not when the mom finally likes the other person. It's when love is ready. When love is ready. When love is ready. When love is ready, get married. What is real romantic love? It's being in love. It's love for the long haul. It's long haul love. And then here's the last. She says, do you see what she does? She responds. She's basically saying, look, I'm ordinary. I am lost in a sea of women. I'm invisible. I'm unnoticeable. This is what she's saying in 2:1. She's saying, I'm a rose. Forget the rose. It's not a rose. It's a common desert wildflower. It's a dandelion, as Knox told me. That's basically what it is. So she's one dandelion in a sea of dandelions. No big deal, unnoticeable, common. And he says, oh, no, you're not. What is he doing? Look at 2:2. You're a lily among brambles. So you are, my love, among the young women. What does he do? He gives life to her. Gives life to her. How does he give life to her? By giving himself to her. That's what he's doing here. He's saying, oh, not to me, you're not. He's preferring her above everyone else. You're not common. you are preferred and rare compared to anyone else in the whole world to me. He's giving himself to her. It's not so much about, is she in reality a rose or a flower among brambles? That's not the point. To him, she is. That's the point. Because he's given himself to her. He's loving her. He's preferring her. Then she does the same thing. Look at verse 3. As an apple tree among trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. So now he's like, yeah. Dang right. Right? She gives life to him. She gives herself to him. She prefers him above all others. She's loving him. And then they both do it again. They do it in verses 3 and 4. They're doing love. Do you see that? They're being in love, and now they're doing love. How? Well, he gives life to her. In verse 3, she says, with great delight I sat in his shadow. Shadows in the Old Testament are always security and safety. So he's giving her security. He's a safe place for her. This is the way the dynamic is working. He's giving life to her. And by her telling him, you give me life, guess what? She's giving life to him. Oh, really? I do that to you? I make you feel this way? I love you this way? And he's being loved to life. Then the next one, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. I mean, this is just even more graphic. It's like he's giving himself to her. He's mingling his life with her life. He's doing love. Love is self-giving. It's being in love, and it's loving. And loving is self-giving. This is called the dance of love, right? And it continues into verse 4 where it kind of reaches its height. He brought me into the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. What's the point in all this? The point in all this is that real romantic love is both being in love and loving. Real romantic love is both passion and action. Real romantic love is both emotion, feeling, and doing. If you were to take a coin, and I was to have this coin, on one side, this is the love coin, romantic love, erotic love, sexual love, all love, right here. On one side is action, doing. On the other side is affection and passion, being in love. And both make up love. There's not love without one without the other. You can't have love if you're in love, but there's no doing love. And you can't have love if you're doing love and you're not in love. It's both. So let's go back to, you've lost that loving feeling for your spouse. What do you do if you've lost that loving feeling for your spouse? What do you do? Do you quit? Do you settle for being a roommate? Do you quit again, like move on to someone else? Well, that's called an 8th grade relationship. And if you move on to someone else, you will be forever stuck in an 8th grade relationship because for you, love is a feeling, not doing. And you just dissected love and turned it to something it's not, and it's like you get stuck. What's the hair, the comedy that you are so awkward about? Not The Office. No, you know the guy. He has the uncle that throws the football. Napoleon Dynamite. Remember the uncle? Yes, that uncle. Remember how he's stuck in the past? He can't get out of the past. If you keep moving on, you're stuck. You're stuck until you learn how to love. Do love. Right? But that would have bothered me all day if we didn't figure that one out. All right, you know the banner part, y'all here, we're wrapping up. Banners in the Old Testament were military markers. You know what that means? Here's the deal. In the horrors of war, when blood, bodies, and bone are everywhere, when screams are everywhere, when smoke and dirt and grime and smells are everywhere, it is chaos and violence everywhere. You're surrounded by death and dying everywhere. And a soldier, and these kind of battles are hand hand fights. And a soldier in the midst of that is looking for hope, looking for home. In other words, they're looking for their banner. And she says, his banner over me is love. And then the rest of the Bible picks up on this theme of banner. And the psalmist says this, you, O God, are my banner. I flee to you from the bow and arrow. So while you're doing love because you don't feel it, and while you're doing love because the other spouse is not loving you in return, know this, there's a banner over you. God himself, who says in the Bible, God is love. That's why we even have this in the Bible. This is echoes of who he is. This is who he is. And so here's what you do. You flee to his love from the fear in your marriage. You flee to his love from the hurt in your marriage. You flee to his love from the lack of love in your marriage. And you know what? You now are energized. You now are able. You now are full. You are now equipped to do love to the other. Amen.